Hey, Chris.
Hey, Al.
Okay, and welcome everybody to another live podcast of Don't Get Us Started. We do a podcast every week where we just talk about stuff that we're passionate about or stuff that drives us absolutely crazy. And hopefully, people out there can identify that with that. And anyway, so let's get started with Don't Get Us Started.
And if you have any input, we welcome that. At the chat, you can you know chat along with us.
Absolutely.
Well, we have this week's show as illegal drugs versus legal drugs, and that came up with us because of a little problem I had with my legal drug. It's a painkiller. I take it for chronic pain, and I have for several years. And my insurance didn't want to. Well, they didn't pay for it for the last couple of months. I've only had insurance for a short time, and they didn't want to pay for my painkillers. They'll pay for any kind of sleeping aid I have, or uh, any other pills I have. And so we were thinking about that and how um, the big crisis going on in this country from opioids. Um, and I guess what we started talking about is how how marijuana, weed, pot, whatever it's called today. I call it marijuana, but that's what it is. But anyway, but no, how it's so hard to get it legal, and yet um, I think my son put it best one time. He told me that my doctor, who I adore, but my doctor is a legal drug dealer,
That's
and
true.
yeah, and how many legal uh, painkillers, sleeping aids, you know, uh, that do all kinds of stuff. Look at the sleeping aids that people, go out and drive their car while they're still sleeping, or do things, under the influence of a drug like Ambien. And anyway, those are all legal drugs. And but now, of course, they're blaming all the deaths in this country, of over painkillers. Anyway, so we just wanted to talk about, uh, a drug like marijuana, why it's not legal, versus a drug, the painkillers and the sleeping aids that are legal.
Well, it's
And
interesting. It's interesting too because just yesterday, I was listening to a local station, and I don't know if this is a local. I didn't look it up. I don't know if it's a local site for my state or if this is a like a national site now. Then now you can find a doctor that will prescribe medical marijuana, and
ooh, in every
because
state,
I don't
every
know if
state,
it's legal. I don't know if it's legal.
I
I
get
know
his
it's not
number.
legal. But that's the whole thing. That's what we wanted to talk about was that you have something like cannabis. And first of all, let me say this, and I know that Chris doesn't either. I don't do drugs. I've never been interested in doing drugs.
Right.
I don't drink. I'm not. I don't. If they legalize marijuana tomorrow, I have no interest in going out and buying it because if I don't want to do it now, and if you want to get it, any drug you can get it. So whether it's legal or not, that's almost beside the point. Because if I wanted to go out and smoke some marijuana, you can go get it, but I have no desire to.
Well, that's kind of what this that our government says. If we legalize marijuana, then we're going to have so many more people smoking it. And that's just simply not true. Either
Well,
you want to smoke it or you don't.
Well, I think my big thing is, and I wanted to put that out there because it's not like, oh, I'm all for legalizing marijuana or medical marijuana so that I can go use it because I have no desire to use it and never have. But my whole thing about all of this is that you've got all of these drugs out there. You've got legal drugs, and let's not forget that alcohol is a drug. And
Tobacco.
before alcohol was legal during the Prohibition time, you had people getting killed. You had people going to jail, prison. You know, you had bootleggers running it, just like you do drugs now. And guess what happened when they legalized it? All of a sudden, all that crime went away, you know. And you have this plant that now they're finding all of these medical benefits, help people with pain, it helps people with seizures, all kind of different, you know, it helps some people it won't. But they have all this battle and all this, you know, controversy over we should, you know, whether legalizing marijuana or not. And yet you're putting all these drugs out on the market. You watch the commercials. I love these drug commercials. You know, take this for depression. May cause suicidal thoughts, though. You know, you take a drug for depression, may cause 50 different things. Oh, and also may cause suicidal thoughts. You know, like I was depressed, but now that I'm taking this medication, now I really want to kill myself. Or may cause death. You don't hear that from medical marijuana. You know, you've got all of these drugs out there that cause liver problems, kidney problems, death, that are the pharmaceutical companies put out there, charge a fortune, make billions of dollars a year. And in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons why it's such a controversy with that is because guess what? The pharmaceutical industry hasn't gotten in on the medical marijuana yet. And when people take medical marijuana and it helps their pain or it helps their seizures or it helps them when they're going through chemo with the nausea, pharmaceutical companies lose out. They don't make any money.
And alcohol alone, it has been proven to cause liver disease, alcohol gastritis, alcohol poisoning, pancreatitis. And research shows nothing from using marijuana. And here's some interesting facts. You know, 480 some thousand people, 480 plus people die each year from cigarettes.
Right. And that, and I'll let you get back to that. That alone right there, I will challenge anybody on whether marijuana or medical marijuana should be legalized, because if you're having a controversy about that, and cigarettes that we know are killing people every day have 4,000 chemicals in every cigarette, I wonder why they don't pull those off the market. Why do you think? If the Philip Morris could get their hands on marijuana, you know, it'd be sold in every convenience store there is.
Right.
You know?
And with, okay, there's no drug, whether it's prescription or over the counter. If you have a drug that kills one person, that drug is pulled from the shelf. Wait a minute. Whether it, again, be prescription or over the counter. But cigarettes on the side of the carton or in the pack tells you it may cause death, a low birth rate in babies. So we have a warning label on a drug, and it's still sold.
Sure.
But no other drug would still be sold if it just killed one person. And again, 480 plus, I don't know, remember the plus, 480,000 deaths per year. That's per year.
Well, I heard
cigarette-related deaths. Wait a minute. 88,000. Okay, just wrap your head around that. 88,000 people die every year from alcohol-related deaths. Right. And both of those drugs are legal.
Sure, they're legal.
And how many people researched? You can't find, if you research, there were 2 people documented, 2. Of
those were questionable.
Yeah, because they had a lot of they died from what they're saying marijuana use, but they also said their autopsy showed a lot of underlying.
Well, one of them had
2 people.
One person had. They found an underlying heart condition, and it does show that marijuana can speed up your heart. I'm drinking a Diet Coke. So does that.
That's right.
And guess what? When I see it, go to the movie theaters and see a scary movie and something jumps out, my heart races too. And
Trump, yeah. Every time I see Trump on TV,
there you go.
It puts my
Absolutely.
heart rate up like you wouldn't believe. But
That's right. That's right.
And here's
No,
something very, 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 very interesting. Again, because we're talking about marijuana. We're not talking about heroin. We're not talking about cocaine. We're not talking about meth.
We'll talk
We're
about
talking
those
about
a little
marijuana. Well, yeah, but marijuana versus cigarettes, alcohol, and prescription drugs. But here's something very interesting. If you are a marijuana smoker, okay, you would have to consume 20. Now, listen to this: 20 to 40,000 times an average dose of marijuana. That would be like
that's a big joint.
Wait, big joint. You would have to consume 1,500 pounds of marijuana in 15 minutes to possibly die.
I bet you
that would be like smoking 800 marijuana joints. I think they're still called joints, aren't they? Nah, they're called something else, aren't they? But anyway, I'm back from the 70s.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think they're called doobies or something. Okay, but everyone knows what a joint is. But you would have to smoke 800 joints at one time to be at risk of dying from marijuana. I mean,
hell of a high,
it's staggering. Yeah, I mean, that's not even possible.
No.
But 800 joints in 15 minutes, I'm pretty sure it was 15 minutes, to even be at risk of dying. And that would be from the carbon monoxide.
Right. Well, here's sort of my thing. I don't understand why, you have so much controversy and have for so long over a plant, over something that's natural, okay? And, you dry it and you smoke it and it gives you a mind-altering feeling, okay?
Just like alcohol does.
Right, which is exactly what I was going to say. Alcohol is a drug. When you go home and not you, but anybody out there, you go home and have a couple beers, nobody thinks a thing about it. Oh, I'm going to have a couple glasses of wine with dinner.
Right.
Okay. Now, you're taking something that is affecting your brain. It's making when nobody thinks anything about it. It's like, yeah, I had some friends over. We had a few drinks. We got a little tipsy. It was fun. Everybody's like, oh, okay, that's all right. Now, I had some friends over. Yeah, we smoked a little marijuana. Oh my God, you do marijuana? Oh my God, you're a drug user? Oh my God, no. When you go home and you have your 2 beers or your 2 glasses of wine or your rum and Coke, you're a drug user too. Right. And when all of you, the lawmakers out there say, oh, we don't need another drug out there. No, because guess what? You're going home and taking your drug yourself. You're having a drink when you get home. And we don't need another drug. I guarantee you the pharmaceutical industry next year and the next year after that's going to come out with a couple more drugs. And I'll bet you they won't have any side effects, will they? That's why the commercials on TV spend 75% of the time going over all the side effects, 25% of the time, telling you, showing a couple, having a beautiful life because, the guy is no longer has erectile dysfunction because he's taking Viagra or whatever. And then it gives, it may cause all these different effects and, if you're erecting, the guy, really would be embarrassed to go to the emergency room with that. But, but my point is that you have all of these, side effects, a lot of them long-term, just like, you take the painkillers for chronic pain. You have to get your I don't know if it's your kidney or your liver checked. You know why? Because some people, it can cause liver damage.
Absolutely.
So you can sit there and give me all.
What about you have a story? You have a story close to you, even. The lady that's hired to take care of your woman. I'm sorry, your woman. I'm so sorry, your mother.
Right.
She's in a different state right now because her 42-year-old daughter died
of liver disease.
Of liver disease because she was a heavy drinker.
Because she was a heavy drinker.
42 years old.
Right. And so, but you're not finding, you give me all the stats you want on marijuana. My whole point is, if you're gonna have all this controversy over it, you have the facts about cigarettes, you have the facts about alcohol, but yet we don't want to have another drug. Oh, another drug that happens to medical, that happens to help people, but the only problem is it doesn't have all the side effects, all the chemical pills that the pharmaceutical companies put out that can cause long-term problems and death and become addictive and overdose. And people take them and they take them and they take them, and then the doctors shut them off, and now they have severe withdrawals, and now they're out in the streets and they wonder why there's an opioid epidemic. It's because half those people have been shut off, and guess what? Now they turn to another opioid on the street called heroin, you know? And now they're in that whole cycle. You don't have that problem with, from anything I've heard, with medical marijuana, but they don't, there's all this controversy because the pharmaceutical companies can't get in on the deal. And what was it your doctor said about it? Didn't he say, oh, they're coming out with one with cannabis, but they're going to probably make it addictive?
Well, I asked him one time, I said, why can't they make a pain medication that isn't so addictive? And he said, they do. It's called the marijuana pill. But
it was with cannabis. It was with cannabis, though, wasn't it? Didn't he?
Well, he just said by the time the drug companies get a hold of it, they will put something in it to make the marijuana pill addictive.
Absolutely.
Because they want you coming back.
Well,
they don't want to give you something that you could possibly get off of easy.
No, and they don't want things out there. Why do you think there's all this fight for putting like vitamins and things like that are on the shelves? Oh, those are not regulated by this or that, because there's a lot of people that believe in natural remedies. The pharmaceutical companies don't want us healthy. They want the American population sick. They want the American population to, be overweight, to have diabetes. Because guess what? If all of a sudden we become healthy, the pharmaceutical companies, they're out of business, And yes, they provide a lot of drugs that save lives, but they also provide drugs that have a lot of side effects. Unfortunately, drugs that do a lot of benefits and do help people and sustain life and things also do have side effects, and I can get that. But the problem is, why is there all this controversy over medical marijuana that doesn't have the side effects? And this is my feeling on it. I don't have any proof of this. It's just my gut feeling. You get these lawmakers and you get these other people, just like when I said about, you have friends over drinking, everybody laughs about that. But if you have them over, you smoke pot, oh my God, you guys do drugs. People think of marijuana. They have that whole image of the 60s. It was a drug that really came up in the 60s. And it's like, oh, marijuana, oh, people are going to be sitting around, they're going to be high all the time, they're not going to go to work. Next thing you know, everybody's going to be wearing tie-dye, and we're going to have love-ins and all that. Like the 60s, if you smoke marijuana, we won't be able to control the people, And you could say that about, let's say alcohol was illegal. Well, people are going to go, you know what, we legalize alcohol. The next thing you know, people are going to be drinking all day. They're going to be drinking all night. Nobody's going to go to work. Nobody's going to be motivated. They're going to drink all night. They're going to want to sleep all the next day. You know what? There are people that do that. There are people that have a bad alcoholic problem that do that. And so they say, well, alcohol is fine in moderation. So my whole thing is, why are the people that make laws think that if you use marijuana, you can't use it in moderation? You have a glass of wine, you drink alcohol in moderation, that's fine. But if they legalize marijuana, now all of a sudden, come on, this world's out of control. The dogs are going to take over because nobody will be able to use it in moderation. And we're going to have a society of everybody wearing tie-dye, driving around in party vans. That's their feeling on it. You know,
Well, when you look at marijuana, you cannot overdose on marijuana.
you fall
Say
asleep.
you smoke it, and then you smoke enough of it, you fall asleep. You wake up, your high is gone, and you're just hungry. That isn't the case with cigarettes, with prescription painkillers, and with alcohol. You know, you have no one ever beats their wife because they were high on marijuana. No one ever goes on a rampage because they were high on marijuana like they do alcohol. But again, let's say I know it's illegal, so you have the illegal part of it. But
Right.
say you work in an office setting, and it's time to go home, and you're with your coworkers, you know, and you have your suit on and your tie, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to get home, have a few cold beer or nice big glass of wine, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, that's what you need, you know, go home and relax. But if you said, I'm going to go home and smoke a few marijuana joints, it'd be like they would gasp, like, oh
Exactly.
my, you know,
Right.
and it's no different. It's no different as far as
Exactly, because
both
it's a
drugs get you high.
you're right, because our culture says marijuana is this scary drug that, teenagers are going to be using. Well, you know what? Teenagers aren't supposed to drink alcohol either. They're not supposed to drink alcohol till they're
Right,
18 or 21.
right.
And so it's the same thing. It's like it's our
And there
culture
is a
says that.
high suicide rate of, they did a study, there is a high suicide rate of people under the age of 20 that smoke a lot of marijuana. Okay, but just like with alcohol and cigarettes, I don't want anyone under the age of 18
Right.
allowed to
We're
smoke.
not we're not talking about
Right,
15-year-olds. We're talking
right,
about legalizing it like alcohol or cigarettes.
right,
And I'll go back to it again. You give me one reason. I'd love to talk to a lawmaker and say, why don't you tell me when cigarettes are killing 480,000 people a year? Why don't you tell me why you don't pull
right,
it off the market?
right.
I would say because they have very, very powerful lobbyists and special interest groups for the tobacco industry. And you know
And
what?
you know
I'm
how
sure.
many people die a year of prescription drugs? 25,000. I mean, these statistics are staggering when you think about it.
Right.
And then you go back to no one dies from marijuana. And 18,000 of those deaths are from just painkillers alone. So you have 18,000 people dying a year of just one drug that's legal.
Mm-hmm.
No one dying from marijuana that's illegal. It
Right.
is such a taboo drug,
Well,
and
that's the
yet
thing.
it has been proven the safest, if you
And
want to call it a drug, the safest drug out there. Wait, they use it for glaucoma. They use it for seizures. They use it for, you know, people who take chemo. They get
mhm.
really, really nauseated and sick to their stomach. You know, my mom did.
They use it
And
for pain.
they strongly suggest to smoke marijuana to alleviate that nausea from chemo. So we have a plant, and it eases pain. We have a plant that does all this good for people, and they won't legalize it.
Which might add chemo, which not only destroys the bad cancer cells, also destroys a lot of the good cells around the
Oh
bad
yeah,
cancer cells.
yeah.
It basically, slowly is killing your body, And I realize sometimes it's a lifesaver, but they're taking that risk. They're taking that risk to help you feel better, And sure, marijuana maybe, mentally, for people, I'm not talking about medical. And like I said, I'm not a marijuana user, but, maybe mentally it's addictive. It's like I want to get high. But I've never heard of people who smoke marijuana and then couldn't get any and start going through pain and cold sweats and
No,
things like that,
no,
like they do
no.
when
Right.
they're forced to be taken off prescription painkillers, opioids, that go through severe withdrawals. And that's why a lot of them end up turning to heroin on the street because their doctors shut them off, or the insurance company shuts them off, or the government wants to regulate how many pills can be given for how long.
Well, there was a point after I lost my insurance, and I couldn't get my painkillers, and I went through opioid withdrawal, and you
I
just
remember.
rather be dead. You'd rather be dead. So than go through that withdrawal. So yeah, this legal drug, this legal painkiller that you're so addicted to, and when you're taken off of it, you'd rather be dead, as
Right.
opposed to marijuana. Who, yeah, you might have a bad day because you're used to smoking it, and it
Hmm.
gives you that good feeling, and you want that good feeling, but you're not going to go through withdrawal.
You're not going to go through the physical,
No,
horrible pain,
no.
and not only that, didn't you tell me you knew or your son had a friend whose mom died because she was on
Yes, yes.
Percocet or something, and she stopped and she
Well,
died
it
of a
was
heart attack
Percocet,
or something.
but also he had a friend whose mother died from withdrawal of alcohol. She
Great,
died. Now I don't know
great,
what exactly, the details of it, but according to my son, her body couldn't handle it. I
right,
mean, it increases your heart rate. You sweat, you bounce around, you everything. So it's trauma on your body to
right.
go through alcohol or opioid.
And if you already
You know,
have somewhat of a
right?
heart trouble, then you're putting yourself at a big
Yes,
risk.
yes,
And that's one thing. If we're not talking about people that are just going out and buying on the street. We're talking about with the insurance companies or the
yeah.
government or your doctor says, okay, and usually the doctor does because the insurance company or the government's trying to, regulate everything with the
How
opioid
dare
price.
they? How dare they they come in
Well,
between my doctor that
hmm
I've went to for over 15 years, who's done multiple tests on me. They can prove what's going on with me. How dare they say, you know what? We're not going to pay for this. You're a doctor, you're a specialist, you've been a doctor for 40 plus years, and you know what? We don't think she needs it. And that's what they tried to do with me.
well,
And thank God my doctor fought it, but they didn't want to give it to me. They're like, we're not going
well,
to pay for it.
that's like a similar thing. It's not about the drug, but years ago, I was going to a vascular doctor, and I had a problem with some stuff in my legs, and I got some injections, and then I went in there to get some more injections, and the doctor says, "Oh, you know what? The insurance company says," and this was one of the top vascular surgeons in the country. The insurance company says I had to go buy this digital camera because I have to take digital photographs and all that and submit it to the insurance company. And then it'll probably take about 3 months to see if they will approve me to give you more injections.
Yeah,
There's a
see?
bunch of people sitting
Because
around
they
around
know
a
better
table,
than your doctor. They
one
know
of the
better.
top vascular surgeons in the country. Yeah, they
Yeah,
know a
they
lot
know
better.
better than him.
Sure. I know.
There's probably a group of people doesn't even have a medical degree or license telling your
Well,
doctor what you need and don't need.
it's about money. They don't want to pay out. They don't want to. Insurance companies are a business. They don't want to pay out money if they don't have to. So they'll do anything they can not to pay out money. They're trying to make money. I mean, I had one of the big insurance companies, and my boss said all of a sudden, I forgot what the rate shot up to, tremendous in 1 month. This was a few years ago. It just shot up when it was renewed. It shot up like crazy. And it was weird because I had just heard that week on something with the news how that company had made in profits that year $600 million in profits, total profits clear.
That's profit, right?
That's
Profit.
total cleared profits. They had made 600 million, and they just shot everybody, up like crazy. I mean, everything is about money, and that's what the drugs are. It's all about money. The pharmaceutical companies don't want you to be using medical marijuana. Give me a break.
No,
Why
not unless they could put their fingers in it.
All
And
right.
like my doctor said, make it
Addictive.
addictive. Because then you keep coming back. You keep coming back.
I would say, you don't think the pharmaceutical companies, you got people buying, opioids or from the pharmacists, you got people buying them out on the streets. Those people buying them even out on the streets, Well, those pills still came from somewhere, and they were sold from the pharmaceutical company. So it doesn't matter if you're taking a prescription or you've been buying it out on the street. The pharmaceutical company still made money on every single one of those pills that every single person takes.
But you know what? What's confusing about what we're talking about is how they want you to be addictive. At the same time, look how my insurance company said no to my painkillers that I've been on for over 10 years. So they didn't want to pay for it. So that kind of contradicts what we're saying, but
no, they don't want to pay for it.
They don't want to pay for it.
They don't want to pay for it. But the pharmaceutical companies, you can't tell me the pharmaceutical companies aren't saying, you know, there's an opioid crisis. Yeah, I can't picture the pharmaceutical company saying, you know what, there's an opioid crisis.
That's right. They want us to have it. That was my mistake. The insurance companies don't want to pay for it. Pharmaceutical companies that make it want you to have it, and they want it to be addictive.
They want it to be as addictive as it can be, because the more stuff that they can make as addictive, the more pills they sell.
And
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. This isn't on that. Many years ago, I had, and at that time I didn't have insurance, and I got an ulcer. And I don't remember the name of the drug, but I think it's now over the counter. But that time you had to get a prescription. And this was probably almost 30 years ago. No, it wasn't the purple pill.
Oh, no.
It wasn't. It was an orange. I think it was an orange pill.
Okay.
This was 25 years ago at least.
Yeah, it used to be prescription.
And what it did was it stopped the production of acid, so you didn't produce as much acid. Well, I was paying like $80 a month, and I didn't have any insurance. And we're talking 25, 30 years ago. So that'd probably be like 150 now, at least, you know, today's money over that. Well, that particular year that they put me on it, that drug was in the Guinness Book of World Records for that pharmaceutical company making more money on a single drug in 1 year than any other drug ever made. More profit. I forget how many $1 billion they made, but you know what? They were charging like $3 or $4 a pill for it, but yet they were making these gigantic profits. They don't care. They don't care how much money. They don't care if you can't afford it. As long as you can, as long as somebody buys it. You know, it seems to me like, I don't know.
You know what's fascinating, you know, is the states that have legalized marijuana. And I've always said this. It's like if you live, let's say, like Washington, D.C., I think it's legal. You can walk around, smoke it. You can have kids and smoke it and all that. But, you know, in an adjoining state, you're a bad parent and you're a bad person, and you might end up in prison, depending on how much you get caught with. And then, you know, if say you serve a year in prison, that's on your record forever. But the person over in D.C., they get caught. You know, it's okay. They're not a bad person. They don't lose their kids over it.
Right.
And that fascinates me how that's done. That in one state you could end up in prison, another state it's okay because it's legal. Well, legalize it or don't legalize it, but it should be the whole country.
Yeah, and it's you know, these people's lives are being ruined over something that they decide to put in their own body. I listened to a radio show, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, I don't know his name. He was a former judge. He was a judge for 25 years. He put a lot of people away from drugs, you know, and his basic thing was this war on drugs, or whatever you want to call it, what you used to call it, it doesn't work. He's in favor of legalizing all drugs.
All drugs, yeah.
All drugs. He says you package them, you put them in a store that is state run, like a liquor type store, and you know that's the way you sell them. They're not laced with anything. They're pure. They're regulated. And as he said, you know, where does the government get off saying, you know what, we're going to regulate what you want to do with your own body. You go home and you want to shoot up heroin, you know, you're not hurting anybody but yourself.
Right. That's right.
You know, And, I mean, but see, it
I mean, I
still
always
comes.
said this too, though. It sounds kind of ridiculous, but it's just, my point. Let's say that someone took mayonnaise, good old mayonnaise, and like, you know what? I'm going to experiment here. I'm going to, dilute this and put my mayonnaise in a needle and shoot up.
Are we
And they
talking
do
low
that.
fat or regular?
Well, low fat might be kind of runny.
Okay,
So
we'll
you
go
know
with
what?
regular.
Wait, low fat would be better in your veins because
That
it's not
would
going to
be.
have a buildup of fat. So
Right.
we'll go low fat mayonnaise.
It's healthier. Right.
It's healthier. But okay, so he's like, I'm gonna shoot some, diluted mayonnaise in my vein.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets this wonderful high. And then he starts telling other people, and it goes, are they gonna now take mayonnaise off the market?
Right.
Because people are shooting it up
Right.
and getting high from it.
Right.
I heard back in the Vietnam War, I have a cousin, and he said that people used to shoot up mustard. Did you hear that? They would put mustard in their veins and get some kind of high of it.
Right.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you could pick anything, and if it came out that it got you high, then the government has to get involved and take it off the market.
Right. And you know what?
And marijuana grows in the ground. I've always called marijuana
a natural plant.
God's medicine.
It's a natural plant, and that's what they're finding now. The cannabis oil. Look at all of the different things that it does help people with medical issues. And what is the controversy here? Oh, they might say, it could affect some brain cells or something like this. Well, if it does, you don't seem too concerned when you go home and have your drink. You don't seem too concerned when, people are
smoke your cigarettes.
Smoke your cigarettes. You can go buy 5 cases of beer if you want to and get, totally drunk till you pass out every night.
I know 2 people that would love that.
No. Yeah. But I mean, there's no regular, do what you want. Drink as much as you want, as long as you don't drive, as long as you don't get, right. Well, that's the alcohol, but it's against the law to drive with the alcohol. You get drunk if you're someone who gets violent when you drink and you turn around and get into a fight or beat somebody up, then yeah, you're being arrested for the violence, for the assault, but you're not getting arrested because you drank a whole bottle of scotch in your house. No, right. Because it's okay. Because they don't look, it's a whole social thing of they don't look at alcohol as a drug. No. Everybody who goes home and drinks are drug users. Now, I'm not putting down alcohol. I don't want people to think that. No. But I'm putting it in perspective that it's a drug. Alcohol is a drug. So those people, I'm
saying, too high. You drink, a few, and you start to get a buzz, high. You drink more, you're drunk. So much that it makes you stagger. It could make you forget your whole night. You black out from it.
I'm making that statement. You're a drug user to those people out there who says somebody goes home and smokes marijuana and they go, oh my God, you do drugs?
Yeah.
That's a statement. Oh, you do drugs? Oh, by the way, I was just out last night. I got so drunk I don't remember the night. But you do drugs?
Exactly.
Well,
and you do a drug so bad. When I said the 480,000 deaths, do you know how many deaths from secondhand smoke? 41,000 a year. So you have 41,000 deaths. We're not talking about the disease or they get sick. We're talking about 41,000 deaths a year from secondhand smoke, and yet you can still go buy it.
Sure you can. You can because of money. You can because of the tobacco industries are so huge and powerful, and if you think they don't, contribute lots of money to campaigns, and they don't have tons of special interest groups. They own the politicians. You don't think those lobbyists and everything do special favors?
The drug companies, the NRA, they own as far as politicians, and when you own politicians, you kind of run the country in a sense because you own them.
Look, I mean, and it drives me crazy when you see people that, and I have a statistic here. You got a few statistics. I have a statistic here. This was put out by the Washington Post.
Okay.
More people last year were arrested for pot than murder, rape, and robbery combined.
Wow, combined.
Combined.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
See?
More people arrested for pot.
And that's pot. Yeah. That's not heroin. That's not cocaine.
For pot.
That's not
yeah.
meth.
And that's what we need to do is we need to put people, I always say, of course, that's another whole subject. But I've always said, okay, we have to punish people for breaking the laws. But this country's got so many things that can be done to clean it up and do things in a way of punishing people. I've always said, you have a mean, bad dog. You put him behind a fence. You put him in a cage, which is what you do when you put people in prison. These, somebody, has a bunch of pot in their car or whatever. They walk into their house and they have a whole bunch. Those people didn't hurt anybody.
No,
but they're being put in jail. Yeah. If you're for aggravated assault, for robbery, for rape, for murder, you need to be. The public needs to be protected from you.
Right.
But you're getting all these people whose lives are ruined, lose their jobs, get a permanent record.
Good, decent people too.
Families that get destroyed because people decide to smoke a plant that grows out of the ground. When are we gonna, stop all of this, bull? And like I said, that's fine. You want to make pot. You want to have your argument on pot. You want to throw me all the statistics in the world you want to. Then you tell me why. When I'm talking about lawmakers and things like that, then you tell me why cigarettes and alcohol are still legal. You can throw me every statistic you want. But if you're going to say marijuana has certain effects or can lead to another drug or
there are no bad statistics on marijuana.
Huh?
There are no bad statistics on marijuana.
Right. I always love when they say, well, marijuana, they talk to somebody and say, yeah, I'm addicted to this drug, whatever it is, heroin or cocaine or whatever. Well, and they find, when I was young, I started off with pot. That, and to me, that's like saying, I've known, like I said, I was never a pot user, but I've known lots of people that smoked pot, smoked it socially, smoked it at parties when they were teenagers and they were young, and they don't touch it now. And you've got people that, it's the same thing with alcohol. You get a 14-year-old start drinking.
Some difficulty in hearing you. Okay, go ahead. It's okay now.
Okay.
It's okay.
You get a 14 or 15-year-old that has an addictive personality or has the tendency to become addicted to certain things. They have that gene in them. And you start drinking at 14 or 15, it could lead to harder liquor. Same thing. And you have that tendency for addiction, then yeah. But we're not talking. I mean, but it goes back to the same argument. Alcohol is legal. They don't talk about that.
Well, when I was a teenager, many years ago, I did smoke a lot of pot. I mean, there was nothing I didn't. I with my friend, nowhere we didn't go, nothing we didn't do that we didn't smoke marijuana.
And how old were you? How old were you?
16, 17.
All right.
High school. And I smoked it a lot. But you know what? When I got married and had my son, I had no interest in it anymore. I just don't have it. So what I'm saying, it didn't lead to, harder drugs. And
right, that's what I'm saying. The ones that it leads to harder drugs are the ones that have a tendency for addiction. You know, it would be wonderful. It would be so wonderful if we lived in a world, because let's remember, it's not just here, it's all over the world. It would be wonderful if we lived in a world where people didn't feel like they needed to get high, and they didn't need, that having a good time was getting drunk, that they had to sort of take something to give them a different feeling to make them feel better or to escape for a little while or to have more fun or be less inhibited, if they do this. It'd be wonderful if we lived in that world where everything was perfect and nobody needed anything. But we don't. No. And as long as the drugs are out there and they've been around for countless years, as long as they're out there, people are going to do them. And if you want to put people in jail, they're going to do them. That's my whole point. They're going to do them if they're legal and they're regulated. The people that are going to do them are going to do them and be safer doing them. And they're not going to go to jail and have a criminal record and possibly, probably lose their jobs, have their careers ruined. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it, whether it's legal or illegal. And that's my point. Like I said, if they legalize marijuana where I live tomorrow, I'm not going to go do it because I have no desire to do it.
Right.
I have no desire to do it. It's like, oh, you know what? We're going to legalize heroin. Oh,
now it's legal. I'm going to go get some heroin.
Oh man, I always wanted to do heroin, but you know what? Now that it's legal, I'm gonna do heroin because what I want to do is become addicted to heroin. No, it's like you're gonna do it, and so it's like
alcohol is legal. Alcohol is legal. It's always been legal. I've had no, maybe at a wedding reception or something. But I had no desire to drink alcohol.
I can't think of the last. Yeah, I have no desire for it either. And so I don't want. That's why I said before. I don't want people to think that like we're trying to push this because No, I can't even remember the last time I had a sip of alcohol, and not because I had a problem with it or anything. I never, even when I was young, had much desire for it. I never liked anything that altered my mind. And it just, alcohol, I might get a little tipsy. I might, I have a very low tolerance. I might have a little bit of fun. And then I would get that real low because guess what? Alcohol is also a depressant. And so,
you got to keep drinking more and more of it. I used to go out from time and I would drink and then I would stop because I didn't want to become drunk. And I would get I would get so depressed, I would cry.
Mm-hmm. Because it's a depressant. And that's the worst thing people can do if you're depressed, and people turn to alcohol sometimes when they're depressed, But guess what? It's like, I'm depressed now. I'm going to take something that will depress me more because that's what it does. But see, it's just a whole society of what we accept and what we don't accept and why we don't accept. It's even one thing with marijuana. But I don't see at all why there's the slightest controversy over medical marijuana when you have no problem with the FDA saying, oh, we approved this drug. Oh, a year or two later, we had to pull this drug because so many people died. Okay. What good did the FDA do on approving that drug to begin with? I love all these drugs that are approved, and then later on they're pulled because you've got this many people that have died or have all these problems. Look at all the commercials you see on TV. If you had the vaginal mesh implant, if you had this hip replacement done with a so-and-so hip replacement, and now you're suffering more. Huh?
When they advertise a drug on a TV, there's always like 25 side effects. One of them always being and death.
Sure.
They put that last and death.
And death.
And these are legal drugs.
Right. But how about all the ones that, they find out down the road that this vaginal mesh implant or this particular hip replacement made by this particular company, because, there's lots of them out there. There's lots of different companies that make the hip replacement. Now they find out down the road that all these people are having problems.
Yeah.
The FDA okayed it. But now they're recalling it. It's like, oh, but you guys, there's not enough
studies. After 50-some years of research.
Yeah, there's not enough studies.
Anybody to come up with a fact that marijuana is harmful. They can't find it. After 50-plus years of research, they can't find where marijuana is harmful.
Well, I would think that like the cookie and potato chip industry would love it if it was legal.
Yeah.
And The pharmaceutical companies might not like it because you don't need the sleep medicine anymore because now you just smoke enough pot and doze off to sleep. But no, it's just I just think it's all. I think it's two things. I think it's about money, and I think it's about social attitude that creates this whole thing about pot is this drug, because I keep going back to it. Why don't we talk about alcohol as a drug that is so accepted? You know, you're watching a football game and there's a commercial for beer and everybody's sitting around. Just, you know, if you have a beer, you're going to have friends over and you're going to have so much fun. You're going to have a great life. If you go out to dinner and you're going to have this wonderful new wine, you're going to have, a beautiful woman by your side, a model-looking guy, and you're going to have a romantic time. And or you've got the old guy that gets on there and says, "Stay thirsty, my friends," to drink this hard liquor. That you have a wonderful life. The most interesting man in the world. Remember those commercials? The most interesting man in the world. And it's like, then he's at the end of it goes, "Stay thirsty, my friends." In other words, drink as much liquor as you can. Stay thirsty. Because if you do, you might be one of the most interesting men in the world.
But then you could go to the other side of that. And, when you and I were young and teenagers, they had cigarette commercials. Remember? It was put out there as a glamorous, handsome man on a horse and a beautiful woman dancing, and they advertised cigarettes. Mm-hmm. Then when it was established that they were so dangerous for you,
they pulled the commercials.
They no longer, it's been years now, no cigarette commercials. Where at one time there was. So we have a drug that is so harmful, they stopped all commercials for it, cigarettes. But it's still being sold.
Right.
And you have a warning on the side of it. This can kill you. Hey, this can kill you. If you went in CVS to buy some Tylenol, and on it said, if you take this, it could kill you. You'd be like, whoa,
Right.
I don't think so. But cigarettes have a warning.
Well, guess what? Cigarettes, a lot of the things that kill you in cigarettes are things like, the 4,000 chemicals that are in every one, formaldehyde, bleach, things like that. And they've put more things in there to make them more addictive.
And I would like to add that, we're not being these two judgmental people. I am a cigarette smoker, a heavy cigarette smoker.
No.
Who wants to quit. But so I'm not being judgmental. I'm a smoker.
No, our whole argument is that you can't sit there. Our argument is to those out there who are saying this isn't okay, but my alcohol and I'm not, the lawmakers out there aren't pulling cigarettes off the market.
No.
Why not? They're killing, if one of the drug companies put a drug out there, a pill that killed 480,000 people every year, that thing would be pulled. The FDA would pull that in a heartbeat.
It killed one person.
Right. They would pull it. You tell me why they don't pull it. Well, I'll tell you, a number of years ago, the tobacco industry sat in front of a Senate committee, I believe, and the guys sat right there and said, there's no evidence that smoking causes cancer.
Right.
Okay,
there's been people that have sued them for that because they're dying of cancer from cigarettes. And there's been some people that sued the cigarette companies that have won because of that very statement that it's basically safe. And they come out and said it's safe. It's safe.
No,
and the government makes so much money on the taxes, they're not going to touch cigarettes. They're not going to touch it because, probably half the price of cigarettes are now.
Oh, sure. In New York, I've heard they're like, oh my God, they're like $10, $12 a pack. I mean, most of that's right tax.
This country got, it is the greatest country. It is. But we have some of the craziest laws ever.
Yeah, we do.
We do. Some of them are just like, where's the common sense? They're crazy laws.
Well, let's talk about some crazy laws because that reminds me of something.
What?
And well, I downloaded this app, and this is there are laws that I think these laws are still on the books, but a lot of these laws you can tell, are from a long time ago.
Yeah. Concerning
Everything,
everything.
Oh no, everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know us. We start talking about one thing, and boom, it goes to
Do you have? I mean,
180
any?
degrees, and people are
What
listening.
makes
Well,
you crazy? I mean, tell me.
right.
What makes you go crazy?
Well, here's one. In California, it's illegal to set a mousetrap without a hunting license.
What?
It's illegal to set a mousetrap without a hunting license. Technically, you are hunting mice.
Wait,
I mean,
that's an actual law?
that's an actual law in Chicago. Just in case,
Yeah.
if you go to Chicago and you're planning on going to the opera,
Yeah.
it is illegal to take a French poodle.
No way.
I don't know if you can take other dogs to the opera.
And these,
Huh?
well, I guess if you found them,
Yeah.
they're still on the books. They're still.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But I can picture, someone going to an opera, and they all, because they dress up really, great to go to an opera. I can picture someone carrying a little French poodle, especially back in the day.
I keep thinking when I read some of these, like, what must have transpired that they had to make a law? Did someone bring a French poodle to the opera and it bit somebody?
Yeah.
But why didn't they just say it is illegal to bring a dog or a pet? No, just a French poodle.
Just a French. So you can take a bulldog.
If I come, with a bulldog, that's cool.
Yeah, you take that. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
If you live in Denver, Colorado, it's against the law to loan your neighbor a vacuum cleaner. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And back to California, I'm not, California's got some weird laws. It is a misdemeanor to shoot at any kind of game from a moving vehicle unless the target is a whale.
Oh my God.
Now I don't know about you, but
Oh my God.
Go out in the woods and get your hunting
rifle. So you
could
be driving down the beach. If you see a whale jump out, you can shoot that.
You just shoot it. Get out your whale gun.
If you see a big buck walking down the road, you can't shoot it.
No.
Oh my God.
Right.
Those are wow.
No, there's I'll read a few more. There's a few of them. Okay, in Maryland, it is illegal to mistreat oysters.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Are you serious? No, you're making that one up.
No, I'm not making it up. That's one of the weird laws. It's illegal to mistreat an oyster. Don't you picture? It's like, well, I had my pet oyster out, tied up in the hot sun, and somebody says, that's pretty. You shouldn't mistreat an oyster like that. You can eat them if you want.
Well, yeah, I've seen people eat oysters and they kind of like suck it out of the shell, like shoop. So if you just eat it, you're not torturing it. But if you
just don't miss. Yeah, what does that mean? Like, if you eat it, do you tease it before you eat it?
You can't get it. You can't put.
Yeah, it's gonna go down my mouth. You're gonna go down. I'm gonna eat you. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
Now in Kansas, it's illegal to throw a knife at anyone wearing. Well, in Natoma, Kansas, it is illegal to throw a knife at anyone wearing a striped shirt. I would think it would pretty much be illegal to throw a knife at anyone.
So if they have just a plain black shirt on, you can just bam them with the knife, right?
Well, according to this, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And these laws are still on the books. I mean,
as far as I know, in Cleveland, Ohio, it's illegal for women to wear patent leather shoes. And in Florida,
Hey, wait, I got, hey, Amy, how you doing? Hi, Amy. Oh, we got
Oh,
Peanut,
we got what?
Peanut, smoke, no Tide Pods. I know, there's a big thing on Tide Pods. Are people eating them? Like
What are
just eating
Tide
them?
Pods? What are
Well,
they?
they're like the washer, you use them. I use the Tide actually, and they're the pods that you
Oh,
wash
the
clothes with.
pods. Oh, I use those.
Yeah, and I think there's something like people are eating them. I don't like. I know like children can get into them, but I'm like hearing like people are eating Tide Pods.
Oh,
So
well, that,
it's illegal
wow.
in my city for women to walk around top. Oh well, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to your city.
No, but I
No.
mean, I think that's illegal anywhere, isn't it? Except on New Beach. But the laws that you're reading are actual. They're still in the books in these states.
As far as I know, if you live in Florida and you're a single, divorced, or widowed woman, it's illegal for you to parachute on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh, that's it. I'm not moving to Florida. If I can't parachute on Sunday morning,
Now,
then I don't want to live there.
we were talking about, shooting. You said in California, if you see a buffalo walking down the street, you can't shoot that, but you can shoot a whale. But if you're in Texas, it's illegal to shoot a buffalo from the second story of a hotel.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what to say to that. So you can shoot it from the first story and the third story on up, a buffalo, but just
Yeah,
not from a second story.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
In
Oh my gosh.
Portland, in Portland, people are banned from whistling underwater. Now, first of all, I'd
Hmm.
like to know how, if you're underwater, anyone knows you're whistling, and how do you whistle underwater?
I don't know. I can't whistle. I can't whistle. I can't say it. I can't whistle out of water. So I
And
don't know how you
all
whistle.
I don't know. How do
Well,
you whistle underwater?
someone just handed me, okay, Alabama, there's one, Alabama. Boogers may not be flicked into the wind in Alabama.
See, you try to figure
There
out why they made
goes
these
the booger
laws.
freaking.
So I'm picturing,
You you got this,
somebody.
you're driving, you got this big booger, and you don't have no tissue, and you got to flick it out the window, and you go to jail for that? Like, I got to get rid of this booger. I'm sure
Well,
everybody's had a booger.
you just keep a booger. You keep a
Everybody's had a
booger cup
booger.
in your car.
Had a booger in their car, and they're like, "Oh, no tissue. I get that big booger." And what are you gonna do with it? You gotta flick it. You can't wipe it.
You
Flick
put
it
it in
out
the
the window.
booger cup.
What if you don't have a booger cup? I don't have a booger cup. You have a booger cup?
Uh, well, I thought all the new cars had booger cups. It was one of the new features. I don't have a new
Well,
car, but
I have
if
a
I
new
get
car,
one,
but
I'm looking for the booger cup.
well, yeah, because just don't go to Alabama. So that means it's legal in other states. Alabama, don't flick that booger.
Yeah,
What are you supposed to do with it?
yeah. It says that now.
Everybody
It
at
said,
one time has had a booger in their car and had to flick it. Come on. What are you going to do with it?
and yeah, AMO0328 says what? I get arrested in Alabama, flicking boogers out the window. Well,
Yes,
according to
you
this,
will. It's a law. It's on the books.
and
Read it on the books.
if you live in Minnesota, it's illegal to sleep naked. Now, I don't know if they have like a task force of
Oh my
people
gosh.
that, go from house to house. Do they have
I,
cameras in there that are
they
checking
have
on
to like,
people?
yeah, yeah. So then
it,
what? If you're naked, they come into your house and then they arrest you, and you're naked all the way to the police station.
well, no,
I bet there's
they'll
cops
probably
doing
let you
that.
put something on.
No,
And then
Andrew,
when you get there, say, what are you in here for? I was asleep.
sleep naked.
I was sleeping naked. Oh my God.
Oh
But
my
that's
gosh,
illegal.
that's fascinating that they're still out there like that.
It's illegal to eat an orange in a bathtub in California. California's got some strange ones. You can't shoot
Well, in
whales.
California, they have orange trees. No, that's Florida has orange trees. So,
Yeah.
wow.
You can't eat. I mean, you can't shoot whales in California. You can't eat oranges in the bathtub. Well, why does anybody want to live in California?
Amy says, can her and Joe get arrested next month? If you, what was the Florida one you couldn't do? Oh, you could not. Yes, Amy, you will get arrested in Florida if you try to. What was it?
Wasn't that the parachuting one?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Amy, if you try to parachute in Florida when you're there on a Sunday morning,
Sunday afternoon. You can do it in the morning. Wait, no.
Sunday afternoon, if you parachute Sunday afternoon, you will get arrested in Florida. So you might want to do it on Saturday. Like that just turned me against ever moving to Florida. If I can't parachute,
I know how much you like to parachute on Sunday afternoons.
Why move there? And what if they have that booger flicking law?
Well, that's the whole thing.
What do you do with it? You wipe it on your car seat? No.
That's the whole thing.
After you roll it in a ball, you guys all know you gotta roll it in a ball so it's flickable, right? Am I lying? You've had flicked a booger in your lifetime.
You got booger flicking laws in Alabama.
Roll it up. Sometimes you like to play with it a little extra, get a nice little ball going, right? Come on, we've all done it. And then you flick it after you make it that nice ball. Well, sometimes you dig a little more, try to get more, a bigger ball, because it's kind of fun. And then
we all know how you get your boogers now.
I'm saying I have flicked a booger in my lifetime from a car, and so have you. And so has everybody else.
You've got yours down to a technique. You've got it rolled, you've got it packaged, and you've got it going out the right direction.
You can't flick a snotty booger. You know that. Be all over your finger. You can't flick that. It's got all snotty. So you got to roll it. You got to roll into the ball.
That's where you need booger wipes.
Oh, come on.
That's where you need.
Tell me you have flicked the booger out of the car.
That's where, if you had a package of Johnson & Johnson booger wipes, you wouldn't have to worry about it.
You are not being honest because everybody's had to flick a booger.
I didn't say that. I just said you really had the technique down.
Because you have to do it.
Well, here's my scary thought.
They're not going to go out there and say, oh, I flicked a booger. We've all had to flick a booger out of a car.
Of course we have. And here's my scary thought, though. Alabama made it against the law.
To flick a booger?
What happens? Yeah, wasn't it Alabama that you couldn't flick the booger? That wasn't Florida. That was Alabama.
Baboosh, the wealthy demon, I don't flick. I use a shit ticket. What's a shit ticket?
Yeah, what is a shit ticket?
We were talking about booger buckets. You want to get a booger bucket, but he said you don't flick, you use a shit ticket. Or that's better than a booger bucket. I'm not saying we need a booger bucket. Just once, But,
there was somebody that flicked a booger one time.
And it landed on a judge or something.
It hit someone in the eye, and it caused them to, have a horrible accident. And they said, you know what? We got to make a law against it. And that's where a lot of these, they have to come from somewhere,
Sure. I would like to hear one that could be like enforced today. Like, you did it. And then they're like, well, it's on the book.
They did have some that'll make sense. They said like in Virginia, you can't drive a car barefoot. There are some states that still have that law because
I can't,
things like that. But these are just some of the really bizarre ones.
You can't drive barefoot in my state.
Right. If you live in Minnesota, and this is for all the women out there, you can face up to 30 days in jail if you impersonate Santa Claus.
Just women?
Well, yeah.
So, you know what? Isn't everybody that's dressed like Santa impersonating him? But I guess they're saying men can do it, but women can't.
Women can't, not in Minnesota.
Well.
Okay, and this, I don't know if we got anybody listening from Arkansas. And I'm very anti-violent. I just wanted to say that right there. But this law says in Arkansas, a man can legally beat his wife, but not more than once a month.
Oh, my God. See? That's one of the ones that, okay, say a man beats his wife, and then he's in court, and he pulls that law up, and it says, I only beat her up once a month.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, couldn't he really write on that?
You know, if these are still on the books, I mean, it doesn't say if they're still on the books. I don't know. It just, these are laws that I know at least at one time were on the books. And I don't know why any type of time in our life when it's okay to beat your wife once a month.
Yeah, even once a month, it's okay. Yeah, when was that? When was that ever legal?
Now, I know somebody that
didn't have any, we were just beneath a man, for.
I know someone that lives in Ohio, and I hope that they're listening because I'm giving them fair warning.
Okay.
In Ohio, it is illegal to fish for whales on a Sunday.
Fish for whales?
Yeah, in Ohio it is.
Wait, Ohio doesn't have ocean, does it? No. Wouldn't you have to have an ocean to have
Are there
a whale?
whales in the Great Lakes?
Yeah, there's no oceans in Ohio.
There's the Great Lakes.
But they don't have whales.
Well, they do according to this law because you can't fish for them.
That's just crazy. I'm visualizing the map. There's no ocean.
No, not in Ohio. There's only one of the Great Lakes, Lake Erie.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh.
But if one of the whales would kind of sneak in to one of the Great Lakes in Ohio, you can't shoot it. You can't shoot it, or
no, you can't fish for it.
Oh, you can't fish for it. Okay.
Yeah, no catching whales on. No, not on.
I mean,
not on a.
Sneak in, Ohio wants to make it safe.
But it's only on Sundays.
Oh God.
Yeah. So all those people in Ohio feel free to go out fishing for your whales the rest of the week, but just wanted to give you a fair warning not to do it on a Sunday because you could get in trouble. And back to California, here we go again. We're in California law in San Francisco, which I've been to San Francisco 2 or 3 times. I love San Francisco. It's illegal to wipe one's car with used underwear.
See, they probably made that law because you did it. You were there. Huh. Admit it. You out there cleaning your car with underwear.
I clean my car with underwear all the time, but I know the law, and I never do it with my used underwear. I buy brand new underwear, and I wipe down my car with fresh, brand new Fruit of the Loom.
So someone got caught using used ones. I wonder how bad used they were.
Yeah. And so what? It's their car.
Yeah, their car. They want to use under. Yeah. Crazy. That's just crazy stuff. You have more?
Are you living in Virginia, by the way? It's illegal to tickle women in Virginia.
See, I don't want to go to Florida because I can't parachute.
Huh?
And I wouldn't want to go to. I don't want to go to Florida because you can't parachute on Sunday. I don't want to go to Virginia because I can't be tickled.
And a lot of things you can't do in California.
Is that every day you can't be tickled, or
it just says it's illegal to tickle women?
Oh my! Wow.
Yeah. Our listener says there are no whales in the Great Lakes. I know. There are no whales in the Great Lakes.
Exactly. That's what we're saying.
Were there once whales in the Great Lakes?
Where did that come from?
Were there once whales in the Great Lakes? I don't know.
I don't.
But if you live there, don't be fishing for whales.
Live in lakes. They have to live in salt water, the ocean. So I don't even think one could sneak in.
Well.
No, that's what we're saying. We know there's no ocean in Ohio. So how did that law even come about?
Well, tell me how this law came about. I have relatives. This is from Georgia. I have relatives in Georgia.
I used to, yeah.
Yeah. And it's illegal to tie a giraffe to a telephone pole in Georgia. Now, I went to Georgia a lot.
There's no giraffes in Georgia.
I went to Georgia a lot.
There's no giraffes in the United States, right?
I went to I went to Georgia a lot when I was a kid because my grandparents lived in Georgia and most of my relatives lived in Georgia. And I never once ever remember seeing somebody's giraffe wandering around the streets. Was it necessary to even make a law? Because there aren't enough giraffes to wander around the street that
No,
that they're tying. I never saw one ever tied to a telephone pole. Never.
I there's no giraffes in the country, is there? No.
Well, in the zoo, but
Well, in
not.
the zoo, but no
I
one.
mean,
I
it's
mean,
not
no.
like they're roaming the open plains of Georgia.
Between the whales and the giraffes, um,
I think these lawmakers need to get their geography right.
well, I
Now,
thought
if you,
today's laws were crazy, but oh my gosh, the
yeah.
old laws are really crazy.
Well, see, that's good. See, goes right back to what we were talking about. It's like, who's making these laws? You know, the
Yeah.
people making maybe the people making the laws on alcohol or marijuana or tobacco are too drunk from the alcohol to are
And
coming
they
in.
made the laws. Yeah, they're so
Yeah,
that drunk,
I mean,
and they're like,
well,
okay, no wells and no.
somebody made a law. You know what?
No
They were
tying
probably
giraffes up.
smoking marijuana. They were probably smoking that killer drug marijuana when they made that law.
Yeah. No, I say they were drunk.
Think. What in the world would make somebody make a law that you can't tie a giraffe to a telephone pole? Somebody had a giraffe one day hanging out in their yard and it kept getting away. And they're like, hey, there's a telephone pole right out in front of my house. I'm just going to tie a giraffe there. Meanwhile, down comes a car and the giraffe steps out in front of it and they run over the giraffe and probably damage the car or maybe kill the driver. And they had to make this law.
This is funny. Ammo said, is that like or your dirty underwear? No, you can't wash cars in, was it California? With your dirty underwear. You can wash them with
that was in San Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah. You can wash them with clean underwear, but you can't wash them with dirty underwear. So yeah, it wasn't toilet paper, it was your dirty underwear.
That's funny, Amo. That's funny. Amo says, yeah, I laid in the lake, but no one tried to catch me. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. So, yeah, they're crazy. I mean, they're crazy. And in Connecticut, and this is another reason why, so many things are bad in our country. I just sort of want to preface it with that because in Hartford, Connecticut, it's illegal to educate a dog. And that's part of the whole problem in our country. Enough dogs are not educated. We are not educating our pet population. And what do we have? We have a lot of dog misfits. We have dogs that aren't getting jobs. It's a problem. We need better education.
You have to sneak to educate your dog. You can't.
Well, I think we need more funding for dog colleges and things like that. A lot of families can't afford to send their dogs to proper universities.
I could educate a dog. I wouldn't need to send them to college. I had a dog once. I educated. Nobody knew. But then what state was that? California?
No, this was Connecticut. Well, if you lived there and you said sit, spot, sit, and that dog sat, and somebody came along and said, did you educate that dog? Did you train him to do that? And they said, yeah. Well, you're going to jail.
You're going to jail. And then
we can't have educated dogs here.
Spot has to go to the dog pound. They're going to take Spot away from him if he's arrested. And then Spot goes to the dog pound. And then if he don't get out of jail fast enough, they might put Spot down. All because sit, Spot, sit.
Well, I think the whole problem is that they're afraid with too many educated dogs that they're going to be a lot smarter than the people. And I know dogs. I know dogs that are smarter than.
Already are.
Yeah, I was going to say I know a few dogs.
I've owned dogs that were smarter than some people.
That's right. That's right.
Wow, that's crazy. This is crazy.
Well.
Does anybody have any input still on our marijuana versus legal drugs? We could still talk about that if anybody wants to chime in on that, right? I mean, yeah.
Oh, sure. We're just throwing this out here for
I mean, we're here like talking about hopefully things that you're talking about, at work or sitting at the dinner table or just bitching at when you watch TV. That's what we're doing.
Well, we
Hopefully
talk,
talking
Chris,
about what the average person is talking about. So if you
Chris
want to
and I
chime
just
in,
talk about this stuff all the time. And so many times we'll be watching something on the news or something about politics, something on, CNN or something like that. And the next thing you know, it's like, that's just what we were talking about.
yeah,
That's what we were,
exactly.
these people are
Or we,
frustrated with their,
we might be talking about, yeah, exactly, this or that, and the next day on CNN or MSNBC, it's like they're repeating almost what we said, which is one of the reasons we starting the podcast, because we're just average people, and yet we talked about the same things they're talking about
and if there is anyone out there who wants to disagree with us and think that, it should be a crime to educate your dog in Connecticut, then please, give us a comment
well,
there
I'm still
because
stuck on the booger. Sorry, because I'm still stuck on the booger, and I don't like the fact that you didn't admit that you threw a booger out the window once. Come on.
no, I didn't say that. I've thrown them out
Yeah.
the window, but you described it so well that I said you have it really down. You have a technique. I never really thought about it.
Have you ever flicked the snot? You can't flick it when it's connected to snot.
That's when you need the Johnson & Johnson snot wrap.
You had to roll the
wipe.
Snotty booger up in a ball.
Well, if someone needs to make, somebody needs to make snot wipes then. I believe that could be a legitimate product.
When I was a young girl, I was probably like, I don't know, 8 or 9, and my sister, she was, several years older than me, and we're sitting in a grocery store parking lot waiting for my parents. Mm-hmm. And seriously, my sister, not me, but my sister, I would have if I had it, but my sister rolled up this big booger that she had, right? And she flicked it, and it was so big that it landed on the windshield of a car, and you could see it land on the windshield of this car, and we just laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed.
Oh my God! Amo says
started young.
There are snot wipes. They're called boogie wipes. You can find them in the kids section. Well, there you go. So that's your solution for runny ones. And she
I didn't know they made boogie wipes. That
says marijuana should absolutely be legal. No one is overdosing on it and dying. If I could legally smoke pot, I wouldn't have to take the chemically prescribed medicine I have to take now. There you go.
My words exactly.
There you go. Exactly.
Who said that?
Amo did. Amo 0328.
No, who said about the chemically? Yes, he did. I don't know if you were with us earlier, but yeah, I'm the same way. I take prescription legal painkillers that I'm addicted to. If I could get off of them, I would get off of them. And if they could give me the marijuana pill or even smoking marijuana, and I didn't need the pain pills, I would do it in a second. So those are my words exactly. I'm addicted to a legal drug. I'm addicted to it. And
well, anybody, that's the thing.
I would give anything to be able to smoke marijuana.
That's the thing is that
for pain.
You are addicted to it. Your body is addicted to it, not because you want a high, but they design these drugs. I know you don't. They design these drugs.
Well, as my doctor said, I disagree with him in a way. I know what he's saying, but he said I'm not addicted. I'm dependent. Yes, I am dependent because it helps with my pain, but I'm also addicted. And the time I didn't have it on my insurance, I didn't have insurance. Again, I went through horrible withdrawals. And anybody who takes a painkiller knows that, and it was horrible. And I prayed for death. I'm serious. So, yeah, it's horrible. And if you could give me marijuana, that's not addictive, yeah, I would take it in a minute for pain.
Well, at least try it. You have something you can try, and it's like, oh wait, I'm in all this pain, and I try this. However, in whatever way that you take it, wow, this let up my pain for 2 or 3 hours. I don't need that
Yeah.
painkiller.
Yeah.
Or maybe it would help for an hour and you don't have to take as many painkillers. Maybe
Right.
you could take that instead completely. But you know what? Like I said before, if you decided all of a sudden, you couldn't get it or something like that, for whatever reason, you ran out of money, you couldn't buy your medical marijuana, and now you couldn't have it for 3 or 4 days. You might be in more pain because of your pain, but you're not going to go through these horrible physical withdrawals that can actually kill you. Let's not forget that. Some of these
Right.
withdrawals, people die from it.
Well, and like Ammo said, she's he or she's drug tested for where she works. She's drug tested, so she can't take marijuana. But
Right.
if you have prescription drugs, that's okay. But you have marijuana, you may lose your job.
Yeah, and I'm not
take
for
all those prescription drugs you want. It's okay. It's okay.
and I'm not for anybody taking it whether it's recreational or medical in a state where it's not illegal. I'm certainly not pushing that. And I'll say it again, I don't have any desire to.
It should be legal. It should be legal.
Right. But I'm not pushing anybody to, hey, go out and get marijuana where it's not legal. The whole point is,
no, we're not.
No,
we're not
because
pushing that at all.
Yeah, right. Because then you end up going.
Legal in this whole country.
Yeah, you end up going to jail. And you shouldn't have to for something like that. I've suffered.
Well, like I said, in one state you're an okay person.
Mm-hmm.
You get high, you buy it. You don't have a record. In the adjoining state, you get caught with it. Now you have a record. You may go to jail or in some cases prison. So how are you this bad person in one state, and then in another state you're okay? It's not right. It's simply not right.
And as you know, Chris, I was born with a deformity in my hip.
I know everything.
And I have suffered with pain since I was 6 years old.
Right.
And that was a lot of years. I'm not going to give my age, but that was a lot of years.
I'm not ashamed of mine. I'm only 22.
No, but I mean, I've never taken prescription painkillers for my hip.
You haven't. I tried to encourage you to take.
Right. I don't take them. I have bad spells with it, and then it eases up, and I'm okay. And I'm on my legs all day in my job.
Yeah.
My job is very physical. What scares me is, okay, you've got pain. When, you know what, we're going to now prescribe you this pain medicine, and then eventually we're not, and now you're addicted. And so I go as long as I can, and I'll take your ibuprofen and all that. But now when you've got all these painkillers out there that are so addictive, and yes, they help with the pain, but if you're telling me that the pharmaceutical companies can't make something that will help well with pain, that doesn't get you so addicted that like you're coming off heroin or something, I don't believe that. They did this, there's a whole thing on the family that, started Percocet, and they knew that it was addictive.
Yes, they did.
They were counting on it being addictive. And they sold it to the doctors saying, oh, this is a great drug. This is not going to, cause all that much of a problem. They knew when they developed it that it was highly addictive, and they counted on it being highly addictive, and they made billions of dollars off of it.
Well, and the big year, I think, was 1999. You hear many doctors speak of it. In 1999, the drug companies came to these doctors, and they're like, for your patients who have chronic pain or even, acute pain, give them this medicine and it will be okay. And the doctors at that time, they will tell you they didn't know that it's going to be this super addictive drug. And so they just said, here, they gave it to their patients. And I watched a whole panel of doctors once, and they really, really regret that they ever did that to their patients.
Right. But what I'm saying is that they knew it up front. you and I have talked about it many times, and I've always said, that they want it to be addictive. This,
Right.
that's why they designed it to be addictive. I mean, I don't know. I know, different drugs work on brain receptors and things like that. But with all the technology, with all the technology and all the things that we have, they can't make something that helps with pain and doesn't cause that. That's right. It's called cannabis oil.
That's when I asked my doctor that once, and he goes, yep, it's called the marijuana pill.
Yep.
But according to him, after the drug companies get involved, it will have something addictive, and that's what they want.
Yeah. No, and it's all about making money.
We let the drug companies rule this country, so they get to do what they want.
And like I said, I'm for all these drugs that help people, and the pharmaceutical companies, market these drugs that save people's lives, and that's great. But don't turn around and put out a drug that has all these side effects, and then turn around and say that we have this other thing that is, natural, that helps people. I don't know. Should we make it legal? It might have this one little side effect, long term. Or if you're 15 years old, it might have this kind of effect. But it's okay because, this particular drug can cause, 20 different side effects and may cause death and may cause liver disease and may cause, all these different things. That's okay.
Well, it's okay. No, seriously, it's okay that 25,000 people die a year from prescription drugs. 18,000 of those people are from painkillers. And yet the doctors are still, giving them to you. And God forbid they stop giving them to you.
Right.
Because the withdrawal, I am a believer that you're taken off of an opioid, like Percocet, and you're taken off of it after being on it, you do have a high risk of going to something like heroin. And I believe that many people, go on to heroin.
Well,
that's how addictive it is. It's so addictive.
I've seen people on television,
right,
that had great jobs, and and then they get an injury or they get surgery, they're in a car accident, whatever, and they prescribe these painkillers for so long, and then the doctor says no more. And I saw one guy, and I forget what his job was. I don't remember if it was in like government or something like that. He got off of it. He couldn't handle withdrawals, and guess what? He became a heroin addict.
I can understand that.
Because he couldn't get, because now he was totally addicted. He'd been on the painkillers for months, and now, they just cut him off.
That's right.
And okay, for whatever reason, then don't make these drugs that have such addictive, properties behind them. That's why you have such an opioid epidemic out there, because the drug companies have designed this drug to be addictive.
That's right. They sure did.
So that's what it comes down to.
Oh, Ammo is Amy. I know Amy. Hi, Amy. I love that you're here, Amy. I love it. No, I mean, I do speak from experience. I don't take any other drug. I never did.
Mm-hmm.
But I am addicted to a painkiller. I've took it for like 10 years. How do you?
Well, of course you're addicted. Of course you're addicted.
And it's scary, when they're trying to say we're gonna only give it to you for a week. We're going to give it to you, like my insurance company. My doctor, who's a very wonderful, renowned doctor. And he fought for me when the insurance company didn't want to pay for it. And he's not someone that's just trying to push the drugs. He has my medical records. He knows I need them. But it's very, very scary to think that they could come in at any time and say, quit giving this to her.
Right.
And, I actually worry about that. So I understand these people that have been on a painkiller, and they stop, they take them off and they go to heroin. It's horrible, but I totally understand it. because you're so addicted to it, and it's so horrible when you don't have it.
And knowing your experience, that as long as you've been on this for your chronic pain, and then you hear all these other stories, and that's one of the reasons, it scares me to get started on something like that.
Well, yeah, it would, yeah.
And I suffer with pain every day, and I try to work through it.
And what would happen?
I try alternatives. I try.
If you tried painkillers when you're in pain. I know.
Yeah.
Know each other very well, and I know the pain you go through. And sometimes I do. I'm like, God, if you could just take something for pain. But see, if you did, and then it alleviates that pain, guess what? Now you want another one.
Now I take it tomorrow, and I take it tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
And
the next thing you know, now I'm addicted. Yeah. And now all of a sudden the insurance company says, well, we're going to have to, we're not going to pay for these anymore. Or the government says you can only take them for so long, and then you're not allowed to prescribe them anymore.
And isn't the bottom line, shouldn't we be able to? No, we can't go out there and hurt people, kill people, rape people, rob people. No, but shouldn't we be able to put whatever we want in our bodies? And if anybody, come on, think differently, I'd like to hear it. But
we can to some extent. Well, yes, we can.
We want into our body.
Yes, we can. We can put as many cigarettes.
Without punishment,
Well, yes, we can. We can smoke as many cigarettes as we want. We can put as much alcohol in our system as we want. We can eat until we weigh 700 pounds. They don't regulate that, do they?
Giving my weight out. I didn't say okay to give my weight out. Did I tell you it's okay to tell everybody I weigh 700 pounds? I don't think I told you that.
No, they don't regulate that, do they?
No.
You can go to.
You don't go to jail if you're really headache and you're eating cookies and candy and sweets all day.
Why don't?
And your sugar's 500. You don't go to jail for that.
Right.
And that's hurting your body. That. You could die from it. You could die if you're a diabetic and keep eating the wrong foods. You could die if you don't take your heart medicine. You could die if you don't get chemo. But you're not forced to do that. I mean, put whatever you want in your body. If you die from it, you did it to yourself. You did it. Right? Hello? Al? Okay. We lost Al. Sometimes he gets disconnected. I'm sure our tech guy will work on that. He just leaves me by myself, talk about boogers and stuff, I'll wait a little bit and see if he comes back. This happens sometimes, and sometimes we get it fixed, sometimes we can't. So he might have got disconnected. We'll wait for a while, but I don't tell anybody that's listening, if you want to talk about something, I don't think he's coming back. So I just want to say we'll be here next Monday at 6:00. And if during the week, if anybody listening wants to comment or has something they'd like to discuss and they want to hear us discuss it and put an input, we'd love that. That's what it's all about, because we're just two average people that hopefully are talking about what we think the average people out there are talking about. And so if you have any ideas or comments, just you can leave them during the week, and we'll talk about it next Monday. So thank you, everybody.
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Oh, he's back.
I'm back.
I can hear you. I was just giving. I was just giving the closing.
Oh,
so that's okay, because tech stuff happens.
Yeah.
But no, I was just telling everybody that I hope next Monday at 6:00, and they can comment through the week on our podcast, and we'll you have any comments or, ideas, or you disagree with us, but we want to talk about, because that's how we started this. We talked about things that's going on in this country, and we hope that we're talking about things that bug you, right?
Right. That's what we always.
We're just two very average, normal people who get fed up with a lot of things, and we'd like to talk about it, and we'd like people's input on it, So thank everybody for listening, and we really hope you'll hit the subscribe button.
Yeah,
and like us.
Please subscribe.
Please. Yeah, and it's free. Some people don't know that. Subscribing to a channel is free. Tell your friends, and
tell your friends not to parachute on Sundays.
Yeah, and, get those booger wipes that Amy was talking about. I'm gonna go get some.
And no fishing for whales in Ohio. Not on Sunday.
Yeah. You see that whale in Ohio? Take a picture of it. Yeah,
that's right.
Anyway, so tell your friends, and tune in next Saturday, 6 o'clock. And
Saturday.
I'm sorry, Monday. How did I get Monday? See, you get me talking about burgers and whales.
Right. Next Monday.
Next Monday, 6 o'clock.
That's right.
And thanks to everybody listening. All right. See you next week.
See you next week.
Not you.